The end of TV as we know it is near. If you're living under a rock and you haven't heard, on May 2nd, the Writers Guild of America went on strike for unfair wages and a couple of other things. But there have been some big recent developments. I can hear someone out there saying, but Justin, there are more shows than ever right now. What do you mean a strike? And why is there a bowl of grapes in the background? I'm just hungry. That's why. That complaint about there being more shows than ever is completely valid. There are more shows than ever, but even in the sea of an ever-expanding streaming service library, it's getting harder and harder to make a livable wage as a writer. That almost seems counterintuitive. I mean, doesn't that seem like there should be more work out there too for writers? Well, the answer is yes and no. There are more TV shows than ever being made year by year, so yes, there are more projects to hire writers for. But often studios are pushing to decrease the amount of writers that are on staff. And they'll even hire temporary writers to do some of the early legwork, but they'll only keep on a few head writers to continue writing throughout production. On top of this, the writers that currently are finding work are earning 23% less than they were 10 years ago. And the profits of executives and the entertainment industry as a whole are soaring. But this isn't even close to the biggest issue that's facing writers right now. The real issue is streaming. Streaming is a fairly unregulated environment when you compare it to something like cable TV. For this reason, studios have found this super cool cheat code called not paying your employees a fair wage. And the main way you activate it is not paying residuals. What are residuals, you ask? Well, with cable TV, whenever an episode airs, it makes some money. And that money is then distributed definitely not evenly. That money is split up unevenly between everyone that helped create it. Because episodes of a TV show are constantly rerunning, people can continue making money years down the road, even if they aren't currently working on that show anymore. This means writers can have a consistent paycheck that helps them pay the bills in between their writing gigs. But at the behest of big Hollywood shareholders, the studios are always trying to save money, and they're looking to cut unnecessary parts of production, which apparently are the people who write the story in the first place. So they find this silly little loophole and they decide that streaming is different. We don't have to pay residuals because there's no such thing as a rerun. This doesn't really make sense. You would think that every time someone watches an episode of something on a streaming service, everyone that was a part of creating it would get a cut of the subscription fee that people pay. But that is not how it works. Not at all. Many writers are paid hourly, or they're paid a flat fee and they write during pre-production and that's it. And then they never see a dime of the earnings that are made after that point. And that's when all of the earnings are made. This means that you could have been a writer on season 1 of Stranger Things, and because it's this new, untested concept, they pay you a small amount, like $500. And then it goes on to become the most successful show in the world. Now, call me crazy, but this doesn't seem fair at all. And so the WGA goes on strike. They were asking for higher minimum pay, residuals, and a minimum number of required writers for a certain length of production. And there's a lot more that would need to be negotiated, but those are kind of the main bullet points of their strike. And so the strike went on for a while like this. There were some negotiations, but they didn't really go anywhere, and the WGA is still on strike today. So then, why do I say that the end of TV as we know it is near? That seems a little presumptuous. Well, reportedly, the big studios plan to break the WGA strike in a cruel and cartoonishly evil manner. Do you want to know what they said? I am not making this up. This is actually what they said. They want to have the WGA bleed out. Not too bad. It's a little combative, but you'd maybe expect that at this point. But they said, word for word, the end game is to allow things to drag on until union members start losing their apartments and losing their houses. They call this a cruel but necessary evil. I mean, come on. You have to know that you're in the wrong when you start talking like Thanos. Also, there's been this sentiment on a lot of social media that a lot of the members of the WGA are just these little babies, these Hollywood elites that are rich and they just want more money. But I think it makes things pretty clear that these people are not rich. They're everyday people, when the message of the opposing side is that they're going to wait until they are losing their homes and apartments. They know that their opposition is not rich and they can't afford to wait out this strike as long as the studio executives can. It's really like thinking a Walmart employee is Mr. Walmart himself.
This just in. Walmart will now be paying their employees with good job stickers. We interviewed an anonymous Walmart employee to get their opinion.
I need to pay rent. I've got people relying on me, and I can't pay for food with some stupid Golden Star sticker like it's the first grade. I need fair wages is all. Nothing more.
That'll show them Walmart boys like, geez, stop complaining. You know they aren't rich, right? Like, they just make minimum wage.
Are you stupid? Them Walmart boys are making billions.
So, all of this means that your favorite TV shows and movies are likely already in production without writers, so their quality is going to be awful, or they are going to be canceled or delayed indefinitely. Dude, I cannot wait to see that epic final season of Stranger Things that's a one-page script and a bunch of improv. So, the quality of your favorite TV shows and movies has been called into question, and with the rise of AI, many are fearful that studios will attempt to replace writers with AI in the coming future. Even if we ignore how bad the scripts would be because of this, it completely undermines the entire point of art itself. So, TV and movies might change forever, and it isn't looking good. But hope is not lost yet. Just yesterday, on July 13th, some really big news broke that might change things. The Screen Actors Guild, also known as SAG, joined the WGA on strike. This is the first time that both of these entities have been on strike together since the 1960s, and it's effectively going to shut down Hollywood entirely. The increased pressure of both of these entities being on strike might just mean that studios are under enough strain to meet the demands of the WGA and the Screen Actors Guild. These writers and many actors out there deserve to be paid fairly for their work. And like in every industry right now, we just can't continue to allow these big companies to rake in ever-increasing profits while everyone else struggles to pay the bills. These studios need to learn how to write. Write checks. Thanks for watching. I'm really passionate about fair pay and about writing, so this was a natural fit for me and I really wanted to talk about it and share my thoughts. You may have seen Drew Gooden's video on this topic 2 months ago, but some really important new information has come out, so I wanted to cover that here. But Drew goes into much more detail about the history of this strike and how it relates back to the 2007 and 2008 strike, so you should really go check that video out. The link is in the description below. I'll see you next time when I'm sucked into my computer and I can't escape. And also, it's horrifying. Bye.